Tonight we investigate an old mental asylum with a dark history, full of negative energy and mistreated souls. This is where our investigation begins. So what, in this room here, what's the sort of common activity that goes on?
So at the moment, it's an old conference room. So during the day, nothing happens. We just use it as a storage room. But I've had a few people come in before and they notice a change in temperature when they feel something's not right. And it's not really something that they can rationalize. It tends to be something that they are feeling somewhere, and their anxieties can get the better of them. But for the most part, if there is some kind of supernatural activity, people do tend to report a change in temperature and they start feeling sick.
Yeah, these won't go off unless you literally are touching them. So if that one doesn't stop soon, that's a bit weird. Okay, that's
Yeah,
fine.
and you can kind of like proper stamp nearby it.
And it won't go.
Like you have to like proper give it some. Okay, so I think what we should do maybe is set up the cameras, get the infrared Connect shooting out across the room. Alright guys, so we've got the Xbox Connect set up and we're just literally just about to sit in the middle of the room and just sort of soak in the atmosphere and see if anything happens. So we're going to go dark just with the night vision and see what's going to go down. If there's anybody in this room, please feel free to come forward and try and communicate with us. So yeah guys, not much luck in here. I think we're going to move on.
This is the freaky bit.
Yeah, this is quite eerie, this place.
Which one do you want to go first?
Should we go to the theatre?
This one.
Yeah, this is where we went earlier and
We all just hated it.
I felt a bit uneasy in here. This room is creepy. So what's some of the craziest stories that have been sort of told about this place?
Well, some people, some contractors, for instance, they get a very eerie feeling about it. They can never tell what it is exactly. They never want to say it's supernatural just because it might make them feel, people might think they're silly or crazy. But you shouldn't ever disregard a gut feeling, And I think a lot of people tend to say the supernatural is not real, none of it's real. If anything, the supernatural is in fact natural because it inherently exists in nature. So you've got, let's say you've got the visual spectrum, which is, say, for argument's sake, the length of this room. What we can see is about this much, okay? Animals might be able to see more. So that's why you might get dogs who can bark at thin air, for instance, which kind of freaks people out. But I also say, if, let's say, argument's sake, this whole floor is a universe, and this little dot here is what we know. We can't definitively say something doesn't exist if that little speck is all we know. So I'd say the mind is very much like a parachute. It only works if it's open.
So what's the room you're most sort of reluctant to be in?
Well, I think it tends to be different, It's like, I think when the machines are off and you're by yourself and it's dark, you tend to get a bit more aware. It's just like, the smallest little click. If you heard it in the day, you wouldn't think anything of it. But then you're like, oh, actually, what was that? And, I think on occasion, it's like there are a lot of windows in this building. And when you see a reflection, for instance, it's like, oh, I can just see myself here. You might just think it's something else. And then it's like, you kind of freak yourself out. But it's like, in this building, people have reported hearing babies crying, for instance, which is very unsettling. We've had people come in like DJs, because, it's, people who are just using our equipment, for instance. And there was one account where he just never came back. His friend came in and he was crying, and they never found out. He never said why, but he said he's never coming back here. So who knows, It's but this place has a history, shall we say?
Yeah. And a rather dark one, I guess.
Yeah. Founded in 1826, formerly known as the Oxford County Pauper Lunatic Asylum. So it's not a name you could get away with now, but yeah, you can imagine that there's a lot of things that happened here. Maybe things that would be frowned upon now.
Yeah, what are you feeling, Fiona? Your little camera.
No, I don't know yet. I can't. When we first came in here, I really hated this room. I don't know why, but it has kind of gone at the moment. I feel like it comes and goes, doesn't it?
It does, and when you have equipment with you,
Yeah.
and you're in company,
Yeah, definitely.
it definitely helps. You know what I mean?
It's the same on YouTube as well. I mean, like, we upload stuff where pretty much nothing will happen, but I think that's what people like about us, because we don't, you know, whether something happens or not, we still upload it and stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's honest. I think it's being
Yeah.
honest and transparent. If you saw nothing, then you saw nothing.
Exactly.
You know, it's, I
Yeah.
know some people try to add in something in post-production.
Oh yeah.
Oh, hang on a minute.
But it just makes, when something does happen, it just makes it so much more special.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. So what happens is when you're walking by yourself, for instance, and you're in a room by yourself, and you start feeling something, you know, I wouldn't ever think, hey, I'm crazy, I'm just imagining it, because chances are you might not be. So, for instance, I'm talking to you now. Let's take it out of the equation, non-verbal communication. You're getting a vibe off me. That vibe is going to be invisible. So if you walk down this corridor, for instance, by yourself, and you start feeling something, you're picking up on something invisible. Now, if you can pick up on invisible vibes from me, who knows what invisible energy that you might be picking up?
I mean, everything is energy, isn't it? Everything you see, everything you touch.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And when you break down everything, regard everything to be energy, it actually changes the way you look at things.
Mm.
And I think, you know, nothing is really physical. Everything is just moving at a speed that makes it appear physical.
Yeah, definitely.
Here's the thing about native people. They live in nature. They live close to nature. You know, they don't really use too much in terms of technology. So you think, if they've when you strip away everything man-made, what's left is nature. And so the earth that we live on and the world that we live in are two very different places. The world that we live in, society, cities, everything that we've built. The earth that we live on, nature. Now you've got native people who live in nature, you know, who live close to that, to the source, say. And that is essentially spending time with the universe, you know, as hippie as that might sound. But it's, and I think those native people know something that most of us don't. They understand something about life that the rest of us just don't. And that's because we live in the world, not on the earth. Used and re-renovated again and again, and
Everything looks so much creepier in light vision.
Does it? Wall space. Oh my god, that is
Oh, that is so creepy.
quite sinister, isn't it? God. It's hard to get a cool shot, but that is creepy. So this is quite a crazy place because a lot of people have reported seeing things as well, haven't they?
yeah, you know, it's like we've got people who have. Oh, these are automatic. We have people who, you know, they're very grounded people. You know what I mean? They're people you would regard to be sensible, rational thinking people. But some people have reported things as well. You know, seeing like a woman wearing a white robe of some sort, or you know, and just walking around, and it's yeah, you know,
Creepy.
sometimes you do see that. If I lock up in the evening, for instance, you know, sometimes if I do see a reflection, or what I think is a reflection, it might be someone who I've locked in. I've got to go back in. You know? Yeah, of course. And then you start thinking,
Yeah.
what if it's not a person?
Yeah.
But it's like another report was, you know, there's a lot of windows here, you know, and someone once told me actually, he could see a lot of his reflections, but only one of them didn't move with the rest of them.
What the hell?
Even though it looked exactly like him. It's like,
That's terrifying.
it just stood there
I don't like that.
looking back.
Yourself not being yourself.
Yeah.
That's like one of my biggest fears.
Some people have reported that they feel a feeling of being unwelcome, you know.
Yeah.
They feel something that makes them feel they need to leave, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's not a nice feeling. It's like you've overstayed your welcome. And it's like, again, these are people who tend not to believe in anything,
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
in paranormal.
Be cool if I check that footage back later and there's been something in there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Would you not?
No.
And we might get a few sounds. That's quite.
Yeah.
A few taps.
Oh yeah.
What are you feeling then?
Probably outside. We can just take a wander outside.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Because you said you see stuff in the windows sometimes, didn't you?
Yeah, you know, and sometimes it's like I'm convinced it's a reflection. And
Yeah.
it might not be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When it's dark, your eyes play tricks on you. But at the same time, is that just me saying that to myself? Am I
Yeah.
just reassuring myself? But for the most part, you know, you never know, you know. And I think we need to be open to those possibilities. I think when you have someone who, so if you do have a friend who says, I could have sworn I just saw a ghost, but please don't laugh at me, you know, like, hey, this is crazy, but.
Yeah.
And I think if you, the viewers, have friends who have these types of experiences, don't write them off, you know, because what they're experiencing could be very real, you know. And it's like, only when you experience it do you know actually. You know what I mean? But it's if someone goes through something, they might have, you know, some kind of mental health disorder, okay, or it might be a real supernatural event. I'd say, regardless, it's very real to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the best thing we can do is show respect to that. You know, I mean, you get people who make it up. Okay, I'm not saying that, but I'd say, you know, if someone does have this an experience like this, you just have to be open and listen to what it could be. You know, and if you wanted to recreate a supernatural event, for instance, that you experienced, you have to recreate the conditions of that event. You know, what time was it? You know, what was the temperature like at the time? What was the lighting like? How much had you slept? How much had you eaten? If you can recreate those same conditions, your likelihood of attracting the same kind of experience increases.
I mean, so guys, now we're going to head outside for a bit, aren't we? And just sort of patrol, patrol the perimeter.
Yeah.
Let you guys walk down there as well.
So this leads to the cellar, which is creepy as anything.
That is a creepy door.
It's so creepy. Oh. I mean, this is kind of as untouched as it gets, I guess, to what the original building.
Indeed.
Oh, look how old this is.
Oh my word, look at that. Oh wow, it goes for ages. That's crazy. Yeah, that chair is ancient. I mean, look at that, that's ancient.
What I would say is the things to really be afraid of are the spiders.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
don't say that.
Yeah, fair enough, gone. That's her gone. This is, wow, look at this. Oh wow. What is that? Okay,
Just no generator.
that's
None
crazy.
of it's functioning.
So ancient.
They found a couple 1,000 unmarked graves nearby.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's not good news.
No. It's all in the ether.
That was another basement. Whoa. Oh. This is weird.
So these.
Award BT.
Wow. That's freaky.
It's a curb.
Oh wow.
That's incredible.
Mm.
Oh, I think I'm not happy people, are they?
No. You can tell. Alright guys, so now what we're going to do is we're all going to take a room each and just be completely on our own. Which Fiona's really happy about.
It was a nice suggestion actually.
Yeah. And we're just going to see... Jesus. We're just going to see what happens. I must admit, as soon as you get on your own, it's a completely different feeling. I've got goosebumps right now, guys. That's just a safety light. That scared the shit out of me. Right, I'm just going to flip the camera on. It always creeps me out when it can't focus. Why is it doing that for? Oh my god, my face tracking is going mental right now. Why is it can't it focus for? Super weird. God, my face tracking is going crazy, guys. It's tracking something right in front of my face, right here. I'm going to take it off. I'm going to go manual. What is going on? This is the first time this has happened all night. This room's a bit weird. Is there anybody here with me? Does anyone want to come talk to me? Don't be scared. Let's go into this next room. If there's anybody here that wishes to come forward and communicate with me, please show yourself. Was you a patient here? Can you knock twice if you were? Can you copy me? It's a different feeling on your own.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Just look at this room. There's just so many sounds. If there's anybody here, can you please try touching the cat ball? I completely respect you. We're just trying to communicate. Oh my god, okay.
It's crazy. Oh,
The cat ball's just started going off on its own.
really?
Yeah,
Did you capture it?
Yeah, I captured it, but the second I said, we come here, we don't want to disrespect you, and as soon as I said that, it started going off.
What, on the one on the table?
No, the one in here. No, it's still going off.
What the hell? That is kind of weird.
It was, like, there was no way I could do it, but it was still in here, I was still all over there.
Did you get that on camera?
Yeah, but as soon as it happened, I was like, I'm out. I couldn't do it on my own. It's really
What, and you asked it to?
Yeah, I'll play it back to you.
You know what I was saying about recreating the conditions?
Yeah.
Okay, so once that turns off, we'll have to wait for you to just do what you... Okay, you just do what you do.
If there's anybody here, can you please... Oh my god.
Kind of creepy.
Well, isn't that interesting?
That was interesting.
Thank you. We completely respect you and we just want to try and make contact.
Are you still there?
Yeah. Were you a patient here? Like the cat ball up if you were a patient? Did you work here?
Fiona, I think it might be better if you ask the questions.
Oh my god, as soon as you said that.
There we go.
Fiona's a medium, I swear.
My great gran was.
Once that goes off, okay, I think Fiona, you do the asking.
Okay. Were you a patient here?
Okay. Ask someone else.
Are you here in the room with us? Please touch the cat ball if you are.
Some weird noises going on.
Yeah, it's not building.
Yeah.
Ask another question.
Are you happy? Are you happy that we're here? Or are you annoyed that we're here? Please try and touch it again just to show us that you're here.
The fact that it's not going off anymore has made it 10 times more spooky. Why that happened.
It's really
Oh, my focus is going out completely.
Thank you for that. That was really cool. Oh, I don't think you can explain it going off. Because we've used it, I mean, in all of our past 2 or 3 investigations, we've used it and it hasn't worked, it hasn't gone off on us.
No.
And we've picked up figures, but it doesn't, it's not interested in that. So when it does, it is interesting. It's the same cat ball, it's...
So I think if you'd, if someone had like shaken the floor, for instance, the other one would have gone off as well.
Yeah.
The fact is, you asked a question and it lit up, you know, and that happened more than once, and it only responded to you,
Yeah, which is a bit scary.
not to Luke when he asked the same questions. You know what I mean? So it's like, if it is something paranormal, something that is out there, for instance, you know, they're sentient, they're conscious, they're alive.
Yeah.
You know, they can choose who they like as easily as we can. You know, we can choose who we get on with, who I'm going to respond to. You know, and I don't need to explain myself.
You reckon go in there?
God, I need to. Should I take the night vision in or not?
I should pop it down to see it either.
Yeah, it's really cold in here. Yeah, really chilly. It's bizarre. Is there anybody in the room here with us? If so, are you able to light up the cat ball for us?
I would say that was definitely the room that had the most noticeable cold spots.
that was really
It wasn't cold when we were in there earlier.
No. With numerous tapping caught on camera and strange interaction with the cat balls.
This old mental asylum definitely led to an interesting investigation. Would you explore this place alone?